You know how we spend billions of dollars pointing telescopes at distant galaxies looking for signs of life? What if we've been looking in the completely wrong direction? What if whatever we've been searching for is already here, has been here, and has been using our oceans as a base of operations for decades? It's not a theory from a podcast, it's not a Reddit thread. A theory now being discussed on record by retired Navy admirals and sitting members of the United States Congress, and became a whole lot more interesting when the Pentagon dropped 160 declassified UAP files and quietly defined their scope as objects in the air, at sea, and on land. At sea, they built the ocean into the framework. So let's go there. October 1967, Nova Scotia coastline. Just after 11 p.m., 11 people, independently, report seeing a large object with a row of orange lights moving low over the water. Then it angles down at about 45 degrees and goes into the ocean. There's no explosion, no debris field. What witnesses described seeing on the surface was a yellowish foam, and then it just sank. The RCMP launched a search. The Canadian Coast Guard showed up, military divers went in. They checked every flight manifest, Canadian, American, Allied. Nobody was missing a plane. Nobody was missing anything. Canadian government records from this case used the word UFO, not unidentified aircraft, not weather event, UFO. That's their word in their documents. Whatever went into that water, they never found it. No wreckage, no explanation. Nothing that matched what 11 people watched sink into the Atlantic. And here's the part that keeps bothering me. It didn't come back up. Or if it did, it surfaced someplace else. This one has footage, government footage, released under the Freedom of Information Act. A U.S. Customs and Border Protection plane is on a routine night patrol off Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. It's April 2013. The crew starts tracking something. No heat signature like a conventional aircraft, no lights, and it's moving in ways that gets their attention. The thermal camera catches it. What the footage appears to show, the object moves over the coast, approaches the water, and goes in. No significant splash, no deceleration that you'd expect from anything crossing from air into the ocean, at least at that speed. Then it comes back out, and then one object appears to become two separate objects moving independently before both go back under the water. Independent researchers spent what's been reported as over 1,000 hours reviewing this footage. Their assessment characterizes the behavior as anomalous, specifically the air-to-water crossing without significant deceleration. The government's own review office ordered a different interpretation. Both of these analyses exist. Neither fully satisfies the other. I'm not going to tell you what to conclude. What I will say is the footage is real. The camera was government operated. The crew corroborated what it captured. And the word that keeps coming up when researchers try to describe what this footage appears to show? Transmedium. Air to water without the physics we'd expect from anything that we've ever built. And then there's July 2019. Navy destroyer USS Omaha, Pacific Ocean off Southern California. The watch crew observes a spherical object. No visible exhaust, no control surfaces, hovering above the water. And then it drops straight in. No splash, no debris, no wreckage. A search was conducted and nothing was found. The Pentagon later verified the footage as authentic. A sitting member of Congress asked a retired Navy admiral about this very specific incident. On the record, and the admiral confirmed, what the watch crew observed could not be explained. A U.S. Navy destroyer, Pentagon verified, officially unexplained. And this was 5 years before the government decided to start being transparent with us. Here's where it gets really interesting. And I want to be clear, what I'm about to share isn't conspiracy theory. This is congressional testimony, on the record and under oath. Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, retired, U.S. Navy oceanographer. Former acting administrator of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. In other words, he knows the ocean. In a recorded interview, he stated, and I'm paraphrasing closely here, that we've only mapped about 25% of the ocean floor, and we've explored less than 10% of the ocean's total volume. And if there were any extraterrestrial visitors that did not want to be seen, the ocean is exactly where they'd hide. A retired Navy admiral, former NOAA chief, said that on camera. He also described submarine officers and acoustic intelligence specialists who reported on sonar objects with anomalous behaviors, moving faster than submarines, moving faster than torpedoes. And he said figuring out what those objects are should be a national research priority. And in his written congressional testimony, publicly available, he specifically added the term water space alongside airspace, writing that UAP have been observed in the ocean and are known to exhibit transmedium travel through the air-sea interface. The government's own framework, the one that dropped these 160 files a few days ago, defines UAP as covering events in the air, at sea, and on land. They knew. They built the ocean in. They just haven't told us what they found there. So I started this video with a question. What if we're looking in the wrong direction? 3 government-documented cases, an object that went into the Atlantic in 1967 and was never found, thermal footage of something crossing from air to water and back in 2013 that analysts still can't fully explain, a Navy destroyer in 2019 watching something drop into the Pacific without a trace, and a retired admiral, a former NOAA chief, telling Congress that we haven't explored 10% of the ocean's volume, and that if something didn't want to be found, that's exactly where it would go. I don't know what's down there. Nobody who's talking publicly does, at least not yet. What I do know is that the word the government landed on is transmedium. And that word implies something that treats our atmosphere and our oceans as the same space. Not a visitor passing through, something that moves between them like it lives in both spaces. And now speaking directly to President Trump, because I know you watch this podcast, we genuinely do appreciate the disclosure. The files are real, the cases are wild, and it's about time. But with all due respect, what you gave us was an appetizer. We want the main course. Specifically, what did they find at the bottom of the ocean? Because based on all of these sightings, the real story might be coming out of the ocean. The original drop was kind of fun to see, but let's be honest, there wasn't a whole lot there. We're waiting for more. And I'm just curious, if you've seen something near the water, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Be sure to like this video, it will help the channel out, and subscribe if you want to keep pulling these threads. I'm Heather, thanks for watching, this is Seriously Spooked.